Throughout my own life and fitness journey, I have had the privilege of meeting incredible people who've shared valuable insights on mindset, health, fitness, and spiritual growth. The profound impact of this knowledge on my own life has inspired me to share it with all of you. I'm Erica Sweeney, host and founder of My Fit Tribe podcast. Join me as we explore inspiring conversations with experts, thought leaders, and everyday heroes who offer their stories and practical tips to help you on your own journey. From nutrition and fitness to mental well-being and personal or spiritual growth, our mission is to empower you to take charge of your health and live your best life. We are more than just a podcast, we are a community. Through coaching, a wealth of shared knowledge, and a strong support network, we are here to guide and encourage you every step of the way. Come be a part of our tribe. This week, I'm joined by Paquita Reddish as we sit down to talk about her journey of faith, healing, and purpose. It's in those moments when we hear our own story reflected in someone else's that we often find hope and a deeper sense of compassion for ourselves and for others. I am so grateful to share her story with you today. Today, I am joined by Paquita Reddish. She is the founder of Blessed Divine Creations and the host of the Boss Chick Testimonies podcast, where she uplifts and empowers through real stories of faith, transformation, and perseverance. Her mission is to inspire others to embrace their journey and step boldly into their purpose. And I'm so grateful to have her here today. Hello, Paquita.
Hello.
Yay, we've been waiting for this opportunity. I met Paquita through the When Stories. So those of you who have followed my When Story journey, we were able to take the stage together. Yeah. So I'm grateful for our friendship and for that experience that we got to have together. So before we get into everything that is now, because there's so many doors that have opened, let's just let the listeners know a little bit about Paquita, about who you are.
Oh, okay. So I am Paquita Reddish. I am a mompreneur. I have 3 beautiful children, Kylia, Christiana, and Josiah. They're 18, 10, and 8. And I run 2 businesses. One is called Blessed Divine Creations, LLC, and it's a retail gift shop in Janesville, Wisconsin. And we do customized gifts and event planning and decor. And the second business is called The Divine Solutionist, and it's my purpose-driven coaching business and keynote speaking business.
And I tell you that I have goosebumps already because that has just blossomed into an amazing platform for you to share your journey. So what was it like for you? We'll start with the When Stories, for you to kind of, when you had to stop and reflect about your life and where it has taken you. Like, how did that feel for you emotionally?
Oh, man. Well, I had a little head start because I did a speaking engagement called Yo Quiero Dinero the year before, and it was like a 7-minute talk, but I got to be on stage with 7 other dynamic women, including Vanessa Cook, and Vanessa Cook was my stage partner. So I got my feet wet there, and thanks to Araceli Esparza for that opportunity. But when it came to When Stories, like, that's a whole different beast there. That's right. 20 minutes, and you have to really decide what you want to tell about your story and, like, how deep you want to go. Because my goal wasn't to, like, re-traumatize people of what I went through, but it was to, like, really highlight the women that God had put into my life that helped me to become the entrepreneur that I am today, and, you know, the strong woman that I had to be to endure what I did.
Well, that's what's so beautiful about people being able to share their stories, is because people can hear it and relate to part of it, and they have that moment where they think, maybe I can do what I want to. I have that capability, and you're able to show people that through your strength.
Oh, yeah.
So let's talk a little about how that was with your past, if you want to dive into that a little bit with, where you started.
So I've grown up in church my entire life. My grandmother was an evangelist, and she would take me on the road with her wherever she went speaking. So that level of faith has just been in my life since I can remember. I carried that through my entire life. And I thought I was doing it the right way. I did have Kylie. I had Kylie at first, outside of marriage. And, the church kind of frowns on that, but she was a blessing. She really just brought a lot of purpose into my life at the time I needed it, because I was just doing the most. Being young and things like that. And with my upbringing, my parents both had struggled with like drug addictions, and my mother, she battled severe mental health because of the things that she went through as a child. And so when I was 14, my grandmother passed away and we moved to Toledo, Ohio. And that's when I noticed, okay, yeah, there's something going on with my mom and dad, that in New York, we were kind of shielded because my mom has 7 brothers and sisters and my dad has 7 brothers and sisters.
Oh,
wow. So
wow.
I got tons of cousins. So, if something was going on, we would just go to our aunt's house or something like that. But moving to Toledo, it was just the 5 of us. So I got to witness what was going on. And then I had to, kind of take care of my brother and sister. Mm-hmm. So my teen years, I was just being responsible. So once they started going to therapy and treatment and stuff like that, and I was in college, I just let
Your
loose.
turn, yeah.
Because, I didn't get the chance to do it.
Yep.
So, by the time Kylia came, that was God saying, listen, you got to slow down, Missy. Here's a baby.
Yep. Time to refocus.
Yeah, so time to refocus. And then a few years later, she had asked for like a brother or a sister when she was 3. I was like, can mommy get married first? So then I met my ex-husband when she was 4 and a half, and we got married by the time she was 5. And then we ended up having her brother and sister 3 and 5 years later. So, yeah.
And they're so cute. Oh, my gosh. And they're all growing up so fast. We were just talking before the show
I know.
how Clea's graduating soon. Oh, my gosh.
God. I cannot. I'm so not ready as a mom. You think you prepare them and, but God, when we went to her campus and she was showing us around, she's going to go to UW Oshkosh in the fall. And just to see her navigating her campus by herself, I was like, I cannot. I'm not ready for this. Totally not ready for it. But she's ready. And, I have to trust that I have prepared her enough to go out there in the world. I think she's ready.
Don't you think it's such a gift that we, as a parent and we watch our kids grow up and we see them navigate the difficult times and the wonderful times, and it kind of makes you stop and reflect on our own life, right? To realize, have a different appreciation for our parents and just respect the whole journey that we have on this short life,
It is. It's amazing because I'm watching her, grow, and that child is wise beyond her years. Because like during my win story, my win moment is my daughter telling me, she asked me, why are we staying, Mom? And I was like, I'm afraid. I don't know what to do. I don't want you to lose another father figure. And she was like, Mom, as long as I have you, let's go. That was it for me. That's all I needed. That's all I needed to hear. And she was 11. And now here she is, 18 and about to go off on her own. And she still has that wisdom that is beyond her years. So I know she's ready. It's just mommy not ready.
Yeah. Oh, I remember when I took my oldest to college, I bawled, like ugly cried the whole way home because it just was so emotional because you spend, the last 18 years of your life caring for this child and all of a sudden you just let him go. And sometimes it's harder than others, Oh.
That is going to be me in September.
Right?
It's falling on the way back.
So you get through this process of, you mentioned the when story moment with your daughter where you had to really find the courage to make a change in your life. And I think a lot of people who are listening can relate to that. Yeah. There are either bad relationships or bad jobs or bad health or just a point in your life where you realize you need to make a change. So how was that for you to find that courage, not only just for that thought when she first says it, but actually to take action?
Yeah. I had been married since 2013. I left in 2019. And I don't know, sometimes church and that culture will try to keep you in those things because it's like in the marriage, because you're not supposed to get divorced. You're supposed to work it out. But nowhere in the Bible does God ever say you're supposed to stay even if you're miserable. Mm-hmm. No, he said, I came to give you life and give it more abundantly. If that was more abundantly, no, mm-hmm. That's not more abundantly. So that's what really gave me the strength to leave. He was like, I said, I came to give you life more abundantly. This is not it.
Yeah. And you're right. I mean, not only with religion, but also even just with family or other people mm-hmm. or fear of judgment. There's so much fear behind mm-hmm. making a change.
Right. And I knew that making a choice to leave, I was probably going to lose my church family. I was probably going to be frowned upon. But at the end of the day, none of them people have to live my life. Nobody has to live or endure what I had to endure. Mm-hmm. I mean, I talk about it some in my book, but I don't even go into all of it. I talked about some of it during the Win story. But if I fully went into everything, it would just be, oh, goodness. And it's not like I'm trying to protect him, but it's just like, yeah, some things just don't need to be repeated because it was that bad.
Too painful.
Mm-hmm. 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 Because, like, I've struggled with major depressive disorder my entire life, but the marital problems and things like that just exasperated it even further. You know, I would be on antidepressants and things like that, and they helped. But at the same time, I would take my antidepressant, and I know that I took it. He would be like, "You didn't take it today." I'm like, "Yes, I did. I know I did." He was like, "No, you didn't." So you made me take it again. So I'm being double dosed. I was like, this is stuff that's just coming to me now that my head is clear and stuff like that. And it had got to the point where my mother noticed how, like, out of it I was. She was like, "What medicine are you taking?" I'm like, "I'm taking this, my medicine is, 75 milligrams. And she was like, "No, you're not supposed to be this out of it." It's stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? It's the stuff like that. If I said that, then I would get ostracized.
There's so much, can be so much control in a relationship, and it's really hard, again, to have that courage to be like, no, I'm worth more than this. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's just like that's what it was at the end of the day. I'm like, I have to figure out this for myself. The kids don't deserve to be raised in a family where there is constant bickering and fighting and things like that. That's not what we brought them into this world for. And if we have to be separate so that they can be happy with Dad and they can be happy with me, then that's how it has to be.
Mm-hmm. And anybody that knows Paquita, I mean, she just emits this bright light, and to see how much you I've only known you for a year, but just how much, I mean, you're so kind and so sweet and you just radiate, but mm-hmm. What you're doing, your platform has grown so much organically, which is crazy. So what made you, when you first went to the first speaking engagement that you went to, what was your platform there? What were you there? Was it telling your story or what?
Mm-hmm. So the Yo Quiero Dinero event, you had 7 minutes to tell your story and kind of just put it all together. There was, I want to say it was about 12 weeks of training. Mm. And that was cool. And we were developing our story. And I was trying to figure out, like, how far I wanted to go into it. But I was just like, no. You're not going to give them the fluffy version of this. You're going to give them you're going to give them the truth. And my story just was revolved around the time that I got admitted to inpatient. I had some women from the church that I was going to come, and they prayed with me in my room, which they weren't really, I wasn't supposed to really have visitors then because that's how bad it was. But they was like, no, she needs prayer. And, they came into that room. My mother was there too. And they prayed for me. And in that time, in that prayer, I began to pray for myself. And I was like, Lord, I can't keep going back and forth like this to this hospital. I have young children. I got a young child. This ain't gonna work. And they have us do like arts and crafts and things like that in the inpatient ward. And that's when God reminded me, you love to create. You have that talent. Use it. And I was like, how am I going to use this to help me with the depression? But it does. Because when I'm crafting, I don't feel like a burden. I don't feel like I'm going crazy. None of that. I'm focused on, creating a basket, or I'm focused on creating tutus and things like that. And it's a lot of handwork, and you really have to concentrate on what you're doing so that it turns out beautiful. Mm-hmm. And in that time, I'm not worried about being depressed. I'm not worried about what's going on around me. So, yeah, he just reminded me, you can do this. I've given you talents to combat this stuff that's going on. And then that was, I believe I went in that hospital in August of 2014. In December 1st, 2014, my mother and I created Blessed Divine Creations.
Wow. We had a lot of that in our When stories, where we all had kind of this spiritual nature, right, with these messages that we get. And the fact that you can look back at that moment and that answered prayer that has really, guided you. How beautiful is that?
Yeah, it is. It's just, that's why I don't shy away from my faith at all. I'm not going to put it, I'm not going to shove it down somebody's throat. But when people ask me, how can you still go on and things like that? I have God. I have my faith. He has brought me through more times than I can even imagine. And it all, I might get knocked down, but when I bounce back, it's like, get out the way, because I'm bouncing back way further than where I've, failed at. And he just has a way of doing that for me.
So you created the Blessed Divine Creations, and then first time you were on the stage was on what date? What year was that?
Oh, that was June of 2024, which was crazy. It was June of 2024 I got on the stage for Yo Quiero Dinero. And what was crazy about that whole event was, I went through the training. I had Vanessa as my stage partner. And if you know anything about Vanessa, she's just a light, and she just, helps you in so many ways, because she's a healer and she does Reiki and all of those different holistic things. So I got to learn some of those practices with having her as my stage partner. But about 10 minutes before we went on to the stage for Yo Quiero Dinero, Araceli, the founder, pulled me aside. She said, Paquita, I need to tell you something. And, I have Vanessa's hand. And I said, what's going on? She was like, your ex-husband is here. I was like, are you kidding me? She was like, yes. Do you want me to tell him to leave? Do you not want him here? And I thought about it for a second. And then I noticed that Vanessa squeezed my hand. And I was like, okay. I said, no, he doesn't have to leave. I said, let him sit there and listen to it. He did it. He can sit there and listen to it. And in that moment, I took my power back after all that stuff that he had put me through. And he had to sit there, and he couldn't squirm, nothing. And I had a feeling he was going to do it, because I told him, I said, I bet I said, he's going to show up today. And I said, he's going to bring flowers. They was like, no, he wouldn't do that. I said, okay. And that's exactly what he did.
And you did take your power back at that moment.
I took the power back at that moment. I told my story. I was like, I think I was the last person to go. So he had to sit through all the other stories too. But there were a couple of us women that had that thread of like domestic violence and things like that. So yeah, he had to sit there and listen to it all. And he did. He tried to come up and give me the flowers, but they kindly took the flowers from him.
Good.
But yeah.
And that's one of the big moments in your when story is when you step into that and say, I've got my power back. And I remember the goosebumps and the tears just hearing that, because you're right. There are so many people that are in those type of domestic situations.
And that's the thing. It doesn't, even though being divorced now and being out of like direct contact is, it's not an everyday thing, but we still have to work through that because, we're co-parenting.
Right.
So he still have his moments where he tries to, pull things. And I'm just like, you know what? No. Christiana is old enough now. She's 10, so she has a cell phone. Call your daughter. You can contact the kids through Christiana. You don't have to contact me unless it's something like serious that we have to, make a decision together on.
Right. Wow.
So
then you got to the when stories in June of 2025. And the doors that have opened since then. Woo! Oh my goodness.
Craziness.
It's amazing. So again, for our listeners, if you want to follow Paquita's when story, I'll be sure to put that link in the show notes. But a very powerful story of her journey and again stepping into her power. That after you got done with that, like, how was that to all of a sudden, like, it literally watching you, it literally felt like you were like on The Price is Right. You just had to choose a door.
It was crazy because I remember, like, my last couple of words is of my when story is, when you go through the fire, you don't come out the same. You come out refined. You come out ready. And then I said, and I am ready. And then I said, thank you. And I walked off the stage. But when I stepped forward and I said, I am ready, it felt like internally a door was like, yep, you sure are. Let's go. And then after the when stories, it was like, come speak here. Come speak there. Can you be on this panel? Can you do that? I'm like, what?
It's beautiful. Amazing.
Yeah. And it's just like, I love Miss Wendy because she so much supports us. Like, she has that speaker's cut that you can get into on the My Network. I can go in there like today and see what visibility challenge is up there, what speaking opportunities are out there. I can apply. She always send us stuff. She always send us extra trainings and things like that. So I feel very prepared to go out there, find these speaking engagements and do the panels. Like I had the courage to apply for a panel in Milwaukee. I've never spoken in Milwaukee, but I'm doing Black Girl Fest in Milwaukee, Wisconsin on May 23rd. And they asked me to be on their panel for mental health and wellness. And I'm like, yes, this is what I want to do.
It's amazing.
This is what I want to do.
We say often on this podcast that we're best equipped to help the person that we once were. And I think you're a perfect example of that.
Yeah.
And how much has impacting other people impacted you in your journey?
Oh, man. To see with the Divine Solutionist, I'm just kind of starting out. And, but even before that, I've been like coaching, helping friends here and there. I remember we all had a place in the Uptown Janesville Mall. I had my own storefront. Tanisha had the kiosk for snacks and stuff truck. So we all in the same area. And I remember Tanisha was saying she would like to do more vending events and things like that. And but she didn't want to just pick any old place, because sometimes you can pick a vendor event and it's kind of a dud. But with me vending so long, I was like, I can help. I'll show you which ones to go to. And we started to sign her up for different ones in the area that I knew that were great. But she took it even further. She would do the vendor shows. They fell in love with the food. Then they started hiring her for catering gigs. And this, you know what I'm saying? It was cool to see, I stepped in to help on a vendor side, but she took it even further by, well, I can cater too. And,
Right.
All these different opportunities came up. And so, Tanisha Loggins, she is, she just did her win story in March. And I was telling her that too. I was like, I said, you got a story. You need to tell it. And she did Yo Quiero Dinero. I want to say it was last fall. And then in March, she did the win story. So
see the impact that you're making. What I love about the win stories is that, like, everybody has a story, right? And it's just, for me, it was to get that personal was really hard. Like I can talk with people all day long, but when you talk about me, no, thank you. But I think it's really important for everybody to know that whatever they've been through in their story and what they're doing can impact other people in a positive way.
Yeah, and it's so, when we did the win stories together, and then all of our stories just connected spiritually. It was like one after the other. That was really cool. I was when I looked at yours, I'm like, I can't believe that she went from, property management to bodybuilding. I was like, wow, this is cool. This is cool. You had some really cool moments in your win story, and I'm like, yeah. And I was trying to be quiet because we weren't supposed to yell out during the thing because it was being taped. But it was hard to be quiet because there's moments in everybody's story where you're like, yes.
Well, and we went through the process of sharing it and discovering it, I should say, at the very beginning. And those, we all had a moment of emotion when we shared it for the first time with each other as a small group, and how close we got because of that. When we're trying to figure out what's it going to be, and then when we had to actually read it, our first draft, and how freeing yet emotional that moment was to really say, okay, this is my life, and this is the moment that kind of shaped the trajectory, and how cool it is to be able to share that.
I think we cried a lot.
We did.
I think
Beautiful
we cried
tears.
a lot.
Yeah.
Because it was just how raw, and then how connected the stories were. Like you and Miss Kathy, I just love.
Yeah.
And then, when Courtney was talking about her journey to Kilimanjaro, and I'm like, man.
Yeah.
And all of that, Miss Tracy with the card deck. And then it was so cool because when we got to Fond du Lac, and I had a time getting to Fond du Lac.
That's right.
It was like the enemy was like, no, ma'am, you're not going to say this story to the public. But I was like, okay, that's okay. My car broke down.
Yep.
My dad had to come and get me and drive me the rest of the way to Fond du Lac. But it was cool how everybody had gifts and things like that. And when Jasmine did the hypnosis, that helped a lot too.
Yeah, just to calm everything down. Yeah.
Because, I was messing up so much in rehearsal. I'm like, I forgot a story. I forgot a part.
It's overwhelming. I mean, the stage is not an easy place for most people, I think, to be at. And, you mentioned the difficult time getting up there with your car breaking down. A lot of people could take that as a sign of, okay, I shouldn't do this, and quit. And I think that is a good reminder for all of us on our life journey that you're going to have a whole bunch of detours and roadblocks and stuff thrown at you, but you have to remind yourself of your why. And of who you are and who God meant you to be, right?
Yeah, and it's amazing because it was meant to be that my dad took me up there because he got to hear all of your stories. He couldn't stay for mine because it was getting kind of late, but he got to go to the museum. He got to hear your stories. And do you know, a few months later, my dad had never graduated high school. And he said, "You have inspired me." I said, "What, Dad? Get out of here." Because I talk about that in my win story, too. Like, he never went to high school. I went to college, and how happy he was. He is actually in school, finishing his GED.
I have goosebumps. That is amazing.
He passed every test except for math. So he's taking math, and he's averaging a A/B average, and he should be done by the end of May.
That is phenomenal.
Yep. He just was like, "Yeah, you inspired me. I'm going to do this." I said, "Go ahead, Dad." And he's 71.
Oh.
71.
Wow. Mm-hmm. He's going to have to do a win story now.
Yeah, he is. Oh, my goodness. My mother can do a win story. My dad can do a win story.
71, and he went back to school.
And he went back to school. Yep.
Because what you did inspired him to be a better version of himself. Mm-hmm. Ooh, that's like, got some power.
I was like, how about that, Dad?
Oh, wow.
But, you know, with the win story, you get like 20 minutes, and I was like, oh, that's not the full story. So after win stories, I just kept writing, and I ended up writing a book.
You did.
And that's called Anointed Through the Ashes. It's available on Amazon, but it takes you from the time that I was born and my time with my grandmother all the way through the win story. So, yeah.
So when you wrote the book, how was that digging into your life even more than the win story? Was that hard?
Yeah. It was hard because it's like, oh, should I include that? Should I not include that? But I was hoping that the book would be like a guide to someone else who might be going through the same things that I went through. And then at the end of each chapter, I have a divine reflection on the chapter and then a solution strategy of how I got through it. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like a autobiography / self-help book.
Yep. But that's what I think, again, autobiographies do, because people, again, are able to relate to a part of your story. And then when you have concrete steps to help people, it really gets that next level. Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. Cool. And then you mentioned all the panels that you have been on and more speaking events. So your calendar is booked. Mm-hmm. So what's next for the next 12 months?
Oh, yeah. Good Lord. Hopefully the next 12 months will continue to be speaking. I did the legendary Women in Business Conference. That's Miss Wendy's 3-day women's event. And I was a participant, but I also did the event decor.
Oh, awesome.
So I did the daytime look, and then on Friday night, we did the gala. And so we decorated for the gala, and yeah, so that was pretty cool. Miss Wendy was like, she gasped when she went in because she didn't give us very much direction. She just was like, here are the colors. And you guys just do your thing. And so, yeah, when she went in, she was like, oh, wow.
I bet she got emotional.
She did. Of course she did. She cried.
I love her.
But we did so well that we're coming back.
Perfect.
We're coming back to decorate for 2027.
Wow. So you got both lines of business that are equally moving forward in a great direction.
Yeah.
What would you say to people who are listening who, again, are in that really dark spot and they just can't see in front of them? What advice would you give to how do you even move to the next day, the next 5 minutes?
You know, there's always a reason to keep going. For me, it's the 3 little people who look back at me. That's my why. That's why I work so hard. Why I got 2 businesses, because I really want to give them the life that they deserve. So you can find your why. And even if you don't have children, every day that you wake up is another opportunity to get it right. So keep going.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. Keep going. There is light at the end of the tunnel, even if it's dark. It might be the tiniest sliver of light, but you keep your focus on that sliver of light until it's full-on sunshine. Mm-hmm. And that's what I had to do. Keep my head down and keep going. Because, there's so much more on the other side of the darkness. So much more.
And you talk so much about all the people that have supported you from the beginning and kind of come into your life at those moments to open those doors. Mm-hmm. How important is it to have those mentors and just positive people surrounding you?
You definitely have to find those people that pour into you. Search them out. Look for them. Lean on them. If something is really bad, don't hold that in. Let people know what's going on, because you never know who's able to help you out of a situation. And like in 2019, when I left, I was at probably my lowest. And that's when I met Miss Vicki Lynn. And she is a riot. She was a riot. So she was a comedian, an artist. She had wanted to do a expo for Black-owned businesses. She had reached out to me because I had been vending for a while, and we started doing the expos together, me as her second in command. And she was just like, I remember her coming to my booth and was like, you know what? You're doper than you realize. You're going to help me with this expo. And I'm like, what? Mm-hmm. Me, the shy girl behind the table? No. But she just pushed you. She could see the potential that you had inside of you, and she would push you. Because the next thing I know, here I am. I'm organizing expos. I'm doing things like that. And then the next, I was so quiet and shy. She was doing a TV interview for one of the stations down in Rockford, and she was like, hey, Miss Paquita. I was coming to pick out my table. She was like, hey, Miss Paquita, come on over here and tell them about your business. I'm like, what? I was like, what? Why are you putting me in front of a camera? She would just push you out your comfort zone, and you had to be ready because she was going to do it.
But that's where the change happens. It's getting out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, getting out of your comfort zone. So I'm learning to definitely get out of my comfort zone. Even in the speaking, it's just like, oh.
Right.
I get nervous. I promise you, I get nervous every single time I go to speak. But once I get out there, I do my little prayer, and I've asked, Lord, just let me decrease, let you increase. You give me the words to say. Yep. And he does.
He does have amazing. I know. I pray before every podcast recording too, just to let the words come out that need to. I know.
Help.
But I think with Ms. Vicki, like you mentioned too, how important it is to have someone else believe in you. Like it's hard to get that courage to believe in yourself when there's nobody that believes in you.
Yeah.
So it's a good sign for people out there, if they know someone who's doing great things, tell them.
Right. And if you can't find nobody, find me. I'll help you.
Right? I believe in you.
I will. Because they did a yearbook this year for legendary women in business, and it said, one of the pages said, the votes are in, most likely to uplift you, and it was a picture of me.
Oh,
I was like,
that's amazing.
I'm like, this is great.
That's amazing. And you do, again, you just glow. Your smile, you're so kind, and I think more people in the world need to be like Paquita.
Oh, I'll try. I mean, I have my moments. I ain't even going. I have my moments, but when people, you have a choice every day. You can get up and be angry at the world, or you can choose to be a light. And I choose to be a light.
And I'm grateful for that. So now you started doing Boss Chick testimonies.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about that before we wrap up.
Yes. So Boss Chick Testimonies is my podcast on Beloit College Radio. I do that on Thursdays from 5 to 7 p.m. We have conversations about faith and business and real talk. about different situations. Like this coming Thursday is my Mother's Day special. So my mother will be on. And I get to talk to her about, my childhood, whatever she want to talk about. My mother has a powerful testimony as well. So hopefully she will share some of that as well. And the second hour, I have Dr. Simone Williams-Young from Atlanta, Georgia.
Wow.
She's coming on to tell her testimony. She survived brain surgery and she lost a son. So I'm excited to hear her testimony. Wow. And it's crazy because I had just put out the scheduler for Boss Chick Testimonies for people to schedule themselves to come on. And I didn't know it was going to reach all the way to Atlanta, but it did.
See, it did. That's just the beginning. Mm-hmm. So if people want to hear the Boss Chick Testimonies, where can they find it?
They can find it if you go to WBCR 90.3 at Beloit College Radio. They don't have the FM station anymore, but it's still streaming. You can go to Beloit College Radio and you can listen to it there. I am also on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, so anywhere you can see podcast streaming.
Awesome.
We are there. And then I do have the YouTube channel for the video portion.
Right.
Under Boss Chick Testimonies on YouTube.
Gosh. It just feels like you're just on the precipice of just so much greatness. And those breadcrumbs that reaffirm that you're going in the right direction. Like you have pieces of bread. You don't even have breadcrumbs. It's just beautiful. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of everything you've done and who you are and all the light you shine and how many people you inspire and impact. And again, there's so many people that are listening or that are living life in that dark space who don't believe in themselves enough to make a change. And you're just a perfect example of how important it is that you do, because not only are you positively affecting your life, but there's many, many people that you are impacting and helping them too.
Yeah, I'm like, that's what I want to do, is if I can be a light and be able to pull you out of the darkness.
You're there.
Yeah, as long as I can do that for one person, then I've achieved what I'm supposed to do on this earth. That's the purpose.
I love it so much. So I'm going to put a link to the podcast and the links, and then where else can people find you?
I am on Facebook under Paquita Reddish or The Divine Solutionist, and also on Instagram under The Divine Solutionist Wisconsin, TikTok under The Divine Solutionist Wisconsin, Instagram under The Divine Solutionist West. There was a Divine Solutionist already, so I had to put Wisconsin.
Gotcha. Okay. See, we're going to find you. And if you ever, and I'll put some links in the show notes too, so everybody can make sure to follow your journey. And your When Stories is also available, of course, on the YouTube for the When Stories channel.
Yeah, because I know Miss Wendy was like, okay, yeah, you're going to need a second one. I was like, probably.
Yep, it's coming. You're going to need it.
I said probably, because if I think about it, my second story will probably start off when I said, I am ready, because boy.
Right, yeah. The universe and God said, okay, here you go.
Yeah, here. You're going now. Go.
I love it. I'm so proud of you. That's so amazing.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to ask you the question as we wrap up that I ask all my guests, it's a two-part question. So if you, Paquita, today can talk to your past self, the one who was in that dark space, maybe in the impatient where you're trying to figure out how to go forward, what advice would you give your past self?
Oh, I would give my past self advice. I would say that you know that you're deserving of more. It is okay to go through this pain, but don't sit in it. Don't allow anyone to tell you who you are, what your worth is, because you know your worth. You know whose you are. Get up and walk in it.
And then if you, Paquita, can talk with a future version of yourself, you can pick 10, 20, 30 years. Just imagine talking to her. What would you ask her, and what do you think she would say back to you?
I would ask her, have you lived your purpose?
And what do you think she would say?
Yes, I have.
Yes, you have.
Yes, I have.
You are
And
well
then
on
some.
your way. Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for coming in today for this conversation. I'm inspired every time I talk to you and see you. So thank you for being you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the My Fit Tribe podcast. Tune in weekly for our latest episode for more health and wellness insights and inspiration. For more information, visit myfittribe.org. Don't forget to share, like, and download this episode, and thank you for your support. Please know that the opinions and comments presented here are those of the guests and do not necessarily constitute medical advice or the opinions of My Fit Tribe. Copyright 2026, all rights reserved. This podcast is recorded and produced by Jake Johnson at Paradigm Productions in Madison, Wisconsin, and is a production of My Fit Tribe, LLC.